Well, good evening and welcome to About the Valley. And my guest tonight is Eric Connolly. Eric runs the Blackstone Valley Physical Therapy Service. Okay, I wasn't sure what the last one was. Okay, and if you're wondering where he is, well, he's located in that building right behind us called the Linwood Mill. But you go around the back and you go in that back door. He's in the basement.
Yep. Go through the narrow tunnel between the two brick buildings, and there we are down bottom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, if you walk in that basement door, you see him right there. You can see the place right there is off to the left.
Yep. Can't miss it.
Yeah, right after the Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
And you'd be amazed at what Eric's got in there.
Yeah, it's really grown. We moved in there in 2012 and started out with 3,300 square feet. And in that space, we were able to have a little gym section along with a bigger physical therapy clinic. We were coming from 1,100 square feet when we were on Providence Road. So we tripled that space, and then we had a gym program that was starting. And as it's grown, we expanded to another 1,100 square feet for just the gym itself right next door. And that's what abuts the Chamber of Commerce as well.
Yeah. And it's not just physical therapy, it's actual gym.
Correct. People can come in and get memberships to become members at our gym and work out at their leisure whenever they want.
And you supply them with a coach?
We do have a personal trainer on staff.
Yep.
I really designed the program to make sure we'd have the ability to take our patients and allow them to continue their care once they were done. You know, we get a lot of patients that aren't used to exercising or intimidated by gyms, and if they've gotten in the habit of exercising through their course of physical therapy, no matter what they came in for, hopefully they've started to become more active, they have an avenue of continuing that. And when they continue that in our gym, they're able to still work out, maybe not under our full supervision, but they're on site, so if they do have a question and we can sneak over and answer it, we'll happily do that.
I do want to apologize, Eric, because some things came to my mind. I'm so busy with so much going on lately. I took pictures. I forgot them. They're at home in my camera. I don't usually do that, but I have a lot of things happening this week. In fact, before I came here, I was at a wake.
Oh.
So then I had to come here for a meeting, and now it's been a tough week.
It has, weather-wise and
weather-wise, yeah, and then you add the weather to it, makes it even worse. But anyway, yeah, so you actually do the same service that people might go to the hospital for.
Absolutely, yep. People have the ability to either go to the hospital or they can come see us. We are a private practice. We've been around for 28 years. I joined the practice in 2002 and then ended up taking over in 2011 and have grown it. But there are, you know, Milford Regional does have facilities in the area as well. But again, we are not affiliated with them. We can take patients from their system when they want to come to us. Even if you have doctors that are part of the Milford system, you can certainly still come to see us.
Yes, and you take insurance.
We do. We take most major insurances, and even in that case, we don't take your insurance. We are able to see people with direct access. People necessarily don't even need to see their doctor first. Through the state of Massachusetts, we have physical therapists have what's called direct access, where they don't need a referral to come. A lot of insurance plans do require it, but from a legal standpoint, you don't have to see your doctor to come in to see us.
Now, how about Medicare?
Medicare is yep, we get many of our patients are Medicare subscribers.
And Medicare doesn't require referral, right?
What Medicare requires is a physician signature. You need to get some sort of agreement. So people can come in.
So you got to show there's a reason.
Essentially, they can come in for the first visit, and then what we'll do is we'll do an evaluation. We'll go through and take measurements, explain what the problem is, discuss it with you, figure out what our goals are going to be, and then we send that off to the physician. When the physician signs that, then we are covered for 90 days.
Now, you send it to your own physician or
no, to the patient's primary care physician is typically who will go through.
Okay.
Yep. So
now, if someone decides that they got a problem, that they're having trouble walking all of a sudden, and that could happen with old elderly people. I don't consider myself elderly.
Of course not.
But no, a lot of people can have something turn up that all of a sudden they didn't have before. They can come into you rather than go to their primary care. Meet with one of your personnel down there.
Yep.
Your
see one of our physical therapists. Yep.
And then they'll in turn help them file the paperwork with their physician.
We'd go through and do an evaluation, figure out what we think is going on.
Yep.
If it's something within our scope of practice, which is usually musculoskeletal or neurologic, We'd look at it, evaluate it, and say, yes, we think this is this. We'd explain it to you. If we find something that we don't like the looks of, that seems like it's a little bit more than it, you're in more pain than you should be for without a fall or something
Yep.
like that, then we'd send you back, or we'd call a physician and say, hey, Harry's here. I don't like the way his hip looks. We should probably get an x-ray of him, or I'd like you to take a look at him, or we should send him to orthopedics and make that decision from there.
Yeah, so even if you haven't had a fall and broke your hip or your knee, if you're having knee problems, and that's pretty common,
Absolutely.
before you go through your operation, be advisable to go down and see you down at your facility.
Absolutely, yep, down at the Linwood Mill. More and more studies now are showing you're better off trying physical therapy first. Okay, there are a lot of
Yep.
studies, whether it's having your knee scoped, and hip replacements and things like that, where the research is showing if you can get to therapy sooner than later, it'll eliminate some of the costs down the line, and two, maybe prevent that surgery or put it off a few years if you can.
Yeah, and we find a lot of physicians, and it's not that they're trying to make money, because they're not. The referral physician isn't making any money by sending you for hip or knee replacement. It's just that in their training, they seem to see this was the way to go.
Well, I think we're lucky. We live in an area where we've got quality medical care near us.
Right.
I haven't run into any surgeons in this area, orthopedic surgeons specifically is who we deal with, that are in a rush to operate. There aren't
No,
many
but-
people that get said, hey, get down on
What
that
I'm
table
saying
quick.
though is, your primary care in a lot of cases will say, oh, you're not walking too well. Maybe we ought to look into send you to an orthopedic surgeon and have
Mm-hmm.
him look at it. That isn't necessary all the time. If they went down to see you, they might be able to.
Correct. I think a lot of the primary cares will send people to therapy first, unless, again, they see some other reason to say, go see the orthopedist prior to that.
I had problems with both my knees,
Okay.
and I went to a rheumatoid doctor. Not for that reason. Actually, I ended up there because I got a letter, and they were doing they wanted to have people come in as as a guinea pig.
Yep.
So what
Test
the heck,
or
they're gonna
part of a
pay-
study is
yeah,
a nicer way.
Yeah, and they're going to pay me for it. So I said, well, what the heck? I'll go check it out.
Sure.
So I went to him with Dr. Bombera
Yep.
in Worcester. Guy's fantastic. Well, anyway, they started talking to me, and they said, well, I said, I really don't have any pain. It's just stiff. He's, wow. Number one, this is a drug we want to test to see if it helps with knee pain. But if you don't have pain, all you need to do is exercise. So I got myself a stationary bike,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been great since.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. No, movement is the key. Keeping people mobile, and that's at the end of the day, that's what we really need to do to keep people healthy, is keep people moving. Once we become a sedentary, from whatever case that may be, whether you fall and break a hip, whether you have a shoulder and it keeps you from going out and going for your walks that you used to go for, once you stop moving, that's when really trouble ensues.
Yeah, and then it just gets worse to the point where you're in your ambulatory.
Yep, and once you're not able to get around, you've now limited what you can do socially, you've limited what you can do physically,
Yeah.
and now we're worried about other social impacts like depression and things like that. So by
Right.
keeping people moving and keep people active, and again, hence that's why we created the program we created with our wellness program, we look to try to avoid that. And now with the opioid crisis going on, there's a whole other avenue of trying to make sure people aren't just getting dumped pills every time and saying,
Well, that's
hey,
the
can't we
thing.
fix the way you move
Yeah,
before we just drug you up?
yeah. Instead of drugging up, fix the problem.
That's it. And I'd say the same thing with the injections, too, in some of those cases. I
Oh,
like what
yeah.
you did. You got on the bike and got things moving rather than just saying, here's an injection, and now it's all better. If you don't change the root cause of that, okay, whatever the case may be. A lot of times in the knee, if it's a stiff hip, it'll put more pressure on that knee and really irritate the knee. And you can spend all the time riding the bike you want, but if you don't get that hip stronger and more flexible, you're still going to be running into problems at that knee.
Well, the x-rays did show I had a lot of arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't understand why I had no pain. And he did drain my knees,
Okay.
because he took a lot out, too. It's huge. Showed me. So there were some things he had to do, but along with the exercise, it made the difference.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great.
But now, are the fees reasonable on if you don't have insurance?
Yes, yeah, we have cash pay rates for people that are coming that are outside of insurance.
Yep.
The challenging part of the insurance world is, and we're seeing it in all avenues now that hospitals are being required to post their fee schedules.
Right.
They're supposed to have them on their website someplace, and it's tough to kind of sift through and see what happens when you get through the coding and this, that, the other thing. There's a number of layers of things to make things really challenging on it. But in many cases, what we're running into from a payment standpoint is a lot of people now have deductibles. They'll have high deductible
Yes.
plans, and that's what makes the premium more affordable. But then at the time of service, it really increases the cost.
Yeah.
So, that's probably the biggest challenge we're running into, where people think their insurance is going to cover them for a large piece of it, and it really doesn't kick in until you've spent $2,000 or $3,000, and it really makes it challenging for us.
Yeah, 'cause, you get that, if you got a $3,000 deductible, you got to hit that before the insurance going to start paying.
That's it.
And
That's been the tough part. But with rising healthcare costs, I see what the insurance companies are, what they're trying to do, and I think it makes people a little bit more careful. I'd say 10, 15 years ago, everybody wanted an MRI for anything. They'd bump their shoulder against the wall and say, I need an MRI, I need an MRI. And once you're paying the $800 for the MRI, I find people are a little less excited about getting an MRI. And sometimes, again, getting a physical therapist to take a peek at your shoulder before you run off and get it imaged can help in some cases. Now,
yeah, and the thing is, too, the hospitals are glad to get the MRIs because that equipment's so expensive. They want to run it 24 hours a day.
a lot of places they are running it.
Yeah, because to pay for the equipment because it's so
That's it.
darn expensive. But now, are you finding that insurance companies, in a case of accidents now and things like, even for operations, would rather see the patient go to you first because they're saving money too?
They are. They haven't fully digested that. Physical therapy is really, the studies we've heard of the physical therapy is 1% of the healthcare dollar. So your Blue Crosses and your Tufts and your Harvard Pilgrims aren't really worried about that 1% number as much. And what we're hoping to do, we have a couple pilot studies working in the state through the private practice section of the American Physical Therapy Association, where we are going to be putting together some numbers to be able to say, hey, we can save this much money. Rather than going to the primary care and then getting sent to the orthopedist and then having an MRI, if you get 6 or 8 visits of physical therapy, how much of an improvement do you get sooner rather than, over the course of waiting for all those appointments, you might wait a month. In that time, we can get 8 visits in and maybe have you feeling better.
Yeah, and it's like chiropractors. For years, people didn't do. Well, now I had an accident number of years ago, and I wasn't getting. All the doctors were going to do is throw pain pills at me. I went to a chiropractor, Dr. Wallen. This is a long time ago, and he straightened me out in one day.
There you go. And sometimes, again, getting that motion,
But
getting
the
people
insurance
moving will
companies don't like that. And
I don't think they don't necessarily like it. They're too big to recognize it right now,
Yeah,
I think
which
is what it is.
Foolish on their part.
And I think what happens in a lot of cases, getting back to that case of a lot of the physicians don't want to necessarily just give you medications, but a lot of people want that quick fix. They want that pain pill to help take that pain level down.
And that's not the route to go.
And not have to change. Well, in some cases you need it. If you can't sleep and can't eat and can't do things,
fixing the problem,
you got it. That's not the only solution. Okay, that should be a temporary solution to get you to a point where you can now become active and use things, whether it's your shoulder, your elbow, your knee, whatever, in the way it's meant to be used in a gradual fashion. And again, that's where we can come in and help monitor that and develop a program that gets you to that point.
I like to use analogies. You blow a radiator hose on your car and you put tape over it. It'll work for a little while, but you better get the hose replaced.
It'll get you to the gas station, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully you're going to fix it then.
Take the pain pills to get you through the pain, but get it fixed, because if you don't get it fixed, the pain ain't going to go. It's not going to go away. It's going to get worse.
That's it. Or you're going to be eating ibuprofen like candy, and then 3 months down the line, you're going to have an ulcer.
Yep.
And now you're stepping closer to deductible because now you're going to see the GI specialist. So, again, what other things can we prevent by just getting early access to physical therapy? Those are the things.
Are you finding physicians recommending you more often now?
They are. And again, I think, the physicians kind of on the front lines recognize it more than the insurance companies, essentially, and will say, yes, go to therapy. And the feedback I get from some of the physicians is a lot of people don't want to go to therapy. They're afraid it's going to hurt. They're afraid it's going to be too hard. There is the expense side of things, which I fully get. But what I'd encourage people to do is at least get that first visit. Go see somebody, talk to them, start to understand what the problem is, and see if we can help find a solution that again fits your budget and fits your needs.
I'm sure when you go in and speak to physical therapists, they know you got pain, and they're not going to exceed it. They're not going to say, "Oh, we're going to bend this till it hurts."
No, not unless we have to. Okay, there are certain conditions where we know we've got to get motion out of this joint, and any good therapist will do everything in their power to make sure they're not going to hurt you as much as they can, despite what you might have heard. But and there might be some people out there watching that would say, "You did that to me," but it was for the best.
Yeah, in some cases you have no alternative.
That's it. The joints have to move, in some cases.
And better to take the pain but still have your arm.
Well, and again, is it avoiding further surgery? Is it avoiding more problems down the line of
Right.
getting that mobility? So sometimes it does have to hurt.
What do you find back pain? I think to understand in America, back pain is one of the biggest problems of pain.
Absolutely, there are all sorts of stats out there. It costs 1.5 million days of work, in 70% of the healthcare spending on pain pills is back pain related and things like that. And what we're finding is back pain's multifactorial. There are a number of issues that really contribute to why people have so much back pain. And it's not solely the discs, it's not solely the joints, it's not solely the nerves. It can be a conglomeration of all of those things that start this path of irritation and soreness that gets worse and worse as people kind of let it go. And,
Right.
and once you get into some of these pain syndromes that follow with it from this chronic pain, that's when people really struggle and have a hard time to get out of that cycle. And a lot of times, again, we find movement and correcting some of the body mechanics people might use, whether it's sitting poorly, whether it's picking up things poorly. Those types of things will irritate some of those structures and lead to some of that, again, quote-unquote, damage you might see on MRI, that one person can't move with that damage, and then another person is still out running triathlons with that damage. And you go, okay, how does that work? So it's not solely what we see from a imaging standpoint that will
Right.
determine some of those things. But back pain is one of the more prevalent things we see.
Yeah, and a lot of it's people we don't know how to lift,
Mm-hmm.
or make a mistake in stretching the wrong way or doing. It's so easy to knock yourself out of whack.
It is, and again, if you're somebody who's not used to doing physical activities, and with so many desk jobs out these days, and we
Yep.
get up in the morning, we sit and have breakfast, and then we sit in the car for a half hour, an hour commute,
Yep.
and then we sit at work for 8 hours, and then we
Yep.
sit and drive for a 2-hour commute home, and then we get home and sit and have dinner, and then sit in front of the TV, and then all of a sudden on the weekend you want to go out and play, football with the kids, or you want to go move a bale of hay, or you're doing one of these things you're not used to doing. That's when you're really setting that back up for trouble.
Yeah. Now, people are more into exercise though today, aren't they?
Some are, yep.
Yeah.
There's a number of options of any type of exercise. It does seem like there's clubs for everything these days, whether it's swimming clubs, whether it's triathlon clubs, whether it's, every sports team in the world is available for people of all ages, it really seems, at many indoor places around, whether it's the HAB, whether it's, at other facilities that are around. They'll have adult leagues in sports and things like that, which is another source of patience for us, of people getting hurt, the weekend warriors. But
Yeah.
there are a number of avenues to stay active. And again, it doesn't have to be competitive, whether it's a walking group you start in your neighborhood, whether it's I just heard about pickleball yesterday. There's a big pickleball program up in Grafton I didn't realize.
Oh, what is pickleball?
I haven't figured that out yet, but I guess it's on YouTube.
Really? I never heard of pickleball.
It was new to me as well, but it sounds like there's a program growing there for that. And again, it's I don't want to say seniors playing, but it's an older group playing. It's through the senior center. So that I just heard about yesterday, and again, it sounded interesting, and it's again another avenue to get somebody out and moving. That you have to keep people active and staying engaged.
Well, we know they talk about the new 70 is 50.
Yep.
And I seen that to be true. I mean, I know people in my age group now. We don't look 70. I don't look like when my grandfather was 70. He didn't make 70. He died in his 60s, late 60s. But he looked a lot older than I do. And my father was looking older than, well, yeah, he looked it, but he lived into his 80s. But
Yeah,
we're seeing that,
and
we're
that's
more active too.
there are benefits to the medications we have these days. I think
Yes.
that's, whether it's the overall healthcare system now takes better care of us sooner, and hopefully we're
Right.
catching more things earlier. And there are advances in some of the pills we take, whether it's a blood pressure medication or one of these other things you might take for cholesterol or something along those lines that, again, do have benefits for us that now supplement that exercise piece.
Is it some of it too psychological?
Um,
You're finding seniors are more active today.
the healthier ones are. I would agree with that. There
They're
are
not
people
retiring.
Nope, they'll work longer, or at least go part-time later, and again,
Yep.
have other interests, whether it's going and visiting the grandkids, or they're in a softball league, or they have other things going on. And again, that's what I find keeps those active seniors healthier. And again, they're not sitting at home focused on their pain and going, oh, my knee hurts, my knee hurts, my knee hurts, I can't
Right.
do anything. They're saying, my knee hurts, but you know what, I want to go see my friends who I play.
Or they're coming
with."
into you.
Oh, and maybe they're coming in to see us to get back to doing those things they were enjoying.
Right.
Yep.
You have a good senior crowd coming in?
We do. Yep. Yeah, we really
Including
treat
with
all
the-
ages.
Including with the gym.
Yep. Yes, we do. Yep.
Now, another thing, I mean, back when I was in high school, we didn't have any physical therapists or anything. If you got hurt, you got hurt, and that was basically it. Now you're getting a lot of the sports kids in too, right?
Absolutely. That's where we have all ages. You know, it always makes me laugh because I'll have a 76-year-old look at me and say, "What's that 16-year-old doing in here?" And I'll have the 16-year-old look at me and say, "What's that 76-year-old doing in here?" You know, and it's, you know, each generation, or two generations, if you will, you know, can learn from each other. You know what I
Right.
mean? The older one's happy to share stories to the younger one of watch out for this, and the younger one, you know, will try to show them how to use their cell phone. You know, and things like that. So it works out well. It
You're
brings a fun
finding-
dynamic.
You're finding the teenagers, the sports kids are coming in for therapy and for not just for therapy, but also on ways of working out.
Yes, we do have a youth strength and conditioning program, which is in place to really help kids learn how to move properly. Okay, I know, you know, I was guilty of learning what I call weight room science from the seniors when I was a freshman in high school, and
Yep.
and you know, was it the right way to lift? Probably not. You know, did we do okay? We did okay.
Yep.
But I'm trying to make sure that, you know, the kids now have the opportunity to learn better and learn how to move better and not just
Right.
be throwing weights around, and keep their flexibility and keep their mobility and work on agility too, and not just be throwing around weight. So we try to make sure it's a well-rounded program we have there.
Well, let's get into you, Eric. How did you ever get into this?
When I was in high school, I was lucky enough to tear an ACL, which is a pretty common injury still to these days. So
Yeah,
that
very common. Yeah,
was
and a pretty bad one too.
26 years ago, I think it was, and tore my ACL and spent a year in rehab. So my junior year, I missed all my sports. I was a soccer, basketball player, and missed everything, but spent the year in physical therapy and realized here's a great job where you're out helping people. You know, there's still some you know, figuring out what's going on and analyzing the way people move and helping people regain strength and regain their ability to do things. You know, I'm still very thankful to my therapist that I had back in those days, that, you know, she helped me through dark times. And I think any athlete that gets hurt knows that when your sport is taken away from you, it's a really challenging time for you in
Yeah.
a number of levels.
Yeah, you
And-
want to be out there. It's why you're in the sport. You have that competitive instinct.
That's it. And to lose that, you know, kids can really struggle with it. So she was super and helped me through it, and then it kind of led me to pick a college. I went to Springfield College in Springfield, Mass, and got my master's there. And it worked out well. You know, it's the profession I wanted to be in terms of being able to help people and really make a difference in people's lives.
Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Salem, New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So you went the other way. Most people moving up to New Hampshire came down to.
I got mixed up with a Massachusetts girl.
Ah, that's how you end up in the Blackstone Valley?
Indirectly, yes. Yep. She ended up taking a job teaching in Northborough, and then we ended up settling down in this area, and it worked out well. I ran into Barbara McCumber was the owner of the business for 12 years before I came on, and when I joined with her, you know, we realized that we could coexist together well and try to grow the business, and that's what we did.
Oh, okay. So you joined in with someone else?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then she retired in 2014 and is doing great for her fans that are out there.
Okay. And you live in town?
I live in town. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like to talk to people that come into the Blackstone Valley because I consider the valley like an undiscovered area.
I would agree. It's funny. It reminds me of my hometown growing up. You know, at the time, I remember when I was a kid, there were only 3 or 4 stoplights in the whole town, and you know that's kind of where we are
Not
now.
that way in
you
Salem
know?
anymore.
No, not at all. No, it's got every store in the world, and
Yeah.
you know, traffic beyond belief. And again, yes, you don't run into much traffic here. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a really short commute, so it works out wonderfully. But
Yeah.
you know, I know if you're traveling out of the valley, and you certainly see a lot of traffic. And when I do have to go into Boston for meetings and things like that, you know, I shake my head and go, I can't believe people do this on a daily basis. But
Oh, I know. I when I listen to traffic reports, I say, oh God, I'm glad I'm not having to do that.
Yep.
It is a nightmare.
There's a stress and tough on the posture there. You're hunched
Yeah.
over in that gridlock
Yeah, do you
traffic day in
find
and day
people
out.
coming in having problems because of
Oh, absolutely.
the commute?
Absolutely, and that's one of the more challenging things I think we'll find sometimes is, you know, if we have somebody that is working in Boston, they leave the house at 5:30 in the morning and they don't get back until 6 o'clock at night. It's awful hard to get in for therapy.
That makes for a heck of a long day.
It's a long day, and it's hard to break that sitting habit that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for us to schedule them. In some of those cases, we'll recommend, you know what, why don't you find a therapist inside the city to be closer to it so you can, you know, go to therapy while you're there and then not have to hit the traffic as much. But we
Yeah.
do have Saturday appointments available for people in that situation
Well,
as
that's
well.
the other thing I was pretty impressed by. You're open early in the morning.
Well, I'm lucky to have a very dedicated staff, and we are able to take patients as early as 6 a.m., and we take patients as late as 7:15 p.m. on weekdays. So with their help and dedication, we are able to try to service
Billable
those
13
commuters.
hours.
That's it. Yeah, no, 13, you're right, 13
Yeah.
full hours, and again, Saturdays, 8 to noon as well.
Yeah, so it gives people a good chance, you know, if you're commuting in, well, you get a chance to go at night, or if you commute a little late, you can go early in the morning.
That's it. We try to, again, do the best we can to accommodate everybody and make the times available so they can get in.
And you find a lot of people coming in early in the morning?
The early mornings are popular, and the 3 and 4 p.m. and beyond is really popular,
I'm
and they
amazed
book
how
out a ways.
people are out early in the morning. I see runners going by at 4 and 5 in the morning.
Yeah, well, they're dedicated. You know, when you make the time to keep yourself in that kind
Yeah.
of shape, you're finding the time to do it. Whether it's, you know, most people find it's easier early in the morning because you don't have other commitments getting in your way that show up in the afternoon, unexpected
Right.
things at night, whether somebody's sick or the kids need to be picked up and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a business to be in. I mean, you must see a lot of different types of injuries, car accidents, just old age.
Absolutely, we see everything.
Athletes.
We will see motor vehicle accidents. We'll see workmen's comp injuries where people
Yeah.
get hurt at work, and again, athletic injuries to slips and falls to just simple overuse things. You
Now,
know,
you take workers' comp insurance.
we do. Yep, most plans we can go through and get approval for and make sure people are able to get care and get it covered.
Yeah, here again, instead of going through all the just taking pills and trying to get back to work, get you right back to work. I'll tell you, I had to go to physical therapy a number of years back now. I had dizzy spells,
Okay.
and Dr. Dahl says, "Well, I'm going to send you to a therapist." I didn't understand what. Yeah, you have a system because it was an air problem.
Yep.
And to get things balanced, I never realized that.
Yeah, benign positional paroxysmal vertigo is typically what'll be the quick fix. There are other vestibular issues that will contribute to that dizziness as well.
Yeah.
But that's typically one of the quick, easy ones to fix in most cases.
Yeah, I never knew that. So there's a lot of things that you can be doing. We got a phone call here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's all right. It's great. Okay. Wait a minute. What happened, Troy? You hang up? It's not coming in. Having a problem with the phone here. Figures. I'm trying to get I think I'm not getting to the right line. There's 2 lines,
Okay.
and this is supposed to bring me to line 2, but I'm not getting the dial tone. I think they hang up, Troy. Call back whoever was calling. We got a little problem with the phone here. I was saying, well, it's rain, it's figures. But yeah. So how many years you been at this now, Eric?
Oh, we are coming up on 21 years.
Wow,
Yeah,
time flies,
well,
doesn't it?
It does. It goes quicker and quicker. Yep.
And of course,
Yep.
you took over someone who was already there.
Yep. Yeah. Luckily, Barbara had a well-established name in town and had the practice running. She had bounced through a couple places. She had started out on Providence Road, and then we had moved to Church Street, or she had moved to Church Street, and then I joined her in Church Street in the old Flag Pharmacy building.
Oh,
We had a
okay.
little space in there with Dr. Badgema, and then from there we moved back to Providence Road, and then from Providence Road in 2012 we moved to our present place in the basement of Linwood Mill.
Yeah, the old Flag Pharmacy building is gone.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
we had to get out.
Bank now.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And, it's
and I knew Dr. Badgema. Yeah, fortunately he passed away.
yeah, he was a good guy. Good
Yeah.
guy and a good doctor.
But and then you moved down to Providence Road where that gym is, isn't it?
We were just past that. We were in with Dr. Fradkin and Orenstein.
Oh,
Up in that
okay.
little building. We're in the end of the
Oh.
little white building there.
Oh, that's
Yep.
pretty small then.
It was, yep. It was only 1,100 square feet. So
Yeah,
it
compared
was
to what you got now.
absolutely. It was a big jump, making the jump from that building to the Linwood Mill.
What made you look at the Linwood Mill?
My friend Eddie Zwane had mentioned that it was coming available, and I said, "Oh, we'll have to look into that and see." And I met with Bill Giannopoulos, and Went through a number of discussions, and Bill's been very good to deal with, and really made it a possibility for us to move in there.
Done a great job down there, and I think it's pretty much filled up.
I believe it is to capacity. You know, with what
with
the
the
chambers
businesses.
brought in and things like that. They're really using a lot of the space in the back that was empty, but again, it's full now.
And actually, you probably got a lot of clientele with the residents there.
We do. Yep, with having people living right upstairs, it works out great. You know,
It could be more convenient.
that's it. You don't even have to go outside to hit the gym. You know, you
Yeah.
can come right down and do it.
Yes, and a lot of them, I'm sure, come down. You know, more they're older people.
Yep, it is 55 and older.
Yeah.
And, you know, we let them know that we do have memberships available, whether it's monthly, a 6-month membership, or a year membership they can sign up for.
Yeah.
Yep, and there are discounts for members that live in the mill, as well as prior patients.
Oh, okay. So people in the mill can get a little break on it.
Yep. Yep.
And boy, the convenience. You don't have to get in your car.
No, that's it. And, you know, when we had first opened and they were still just essentially getting people to move into the mill, we had a flyer in their intake paperwork saying, don't buy a treadmill, don't buy a bike, just come down and have it there, and you can save yourself some money. You know, for the price you'd spend on a piece of equipment, you can work out at the gym for probably 2 years.
You got to buy the equipment, then you got to hope it doesn't break on you. You got to maintain it. You got it. It's in the
Find the space for it.
find the space, and treadmills can take up a lot of room. We can get out, and you got even probably much better equipment, I'm sure, than what you're going to buy over the.
I mean, people can buy commercial grade for home, but it's a little bit of overkill. You know, we buy commercial grade with the intent that it's going to be used, you know, frequently and regularly, and you know, there's room for it to be used more for sure.
You got the TV screens and all that stuff.
Not built into the machines. There are TVs in front of our cardio equipment. We do have TVs there,
Yeah, so
but it's not tied in.
so you can watch TV while you're working out.
Absolutely.
I do have a treadmill.
Okay.
Not a great one. It works great. It's in front of the TV in the basement.
Okay.
So when I do get on, I can watch the news
There you go.
on the treadmill. And my stationary bike is in my office, so I watch the TV in there.
Perfect.
'Cause it gets pretty boring when you're standing still.
It is, and that's where static cardio equipment isn't for everybody. You know, you might benefit more from being in a program and meeting with a trainer that has you go through a series of exercises, whether
But
it's
then
on
you're working
equipment,
with someone and you keep
or well, not even for a regular. Just have them show you around once or twice and say, say, can you give me an exercise program to work on that isn't as boring? Now, again, if you're going to work with them, they can certainly design it in another way to make sure that you're staying active and meeting the needs you're looking for, whether it be, again, flexibility or strength or balance, and they will design it for that to happen and probably make it a little bit more exciting, you know, to have somebody drive you through it.
And the thing about exercise that different than just moving around is you're doing something repetitious.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what exercise is. It's repetition, right? That's what makes it healthier, works better for you.
Your muscles are going to benefit from being used more frequently, definitely.
But in the same manner.
In the same manner, again, you're going to develop certain work patterns which are good, but we actually find that mixing those things up are good. You don't want to do the same exercises 5 days a week. You want to do maybe 3 days a week, do one program, and then 3 days a week, do another program.
Right.
So those muscles that you're working one day can get a rest the next day, and they're not just getting overworked.
But I'm saying, somebody says, well, I'm walking around the house all the time, I'm doing housework. That's fine, doing housework is great. But exercise is a whole different environment. That's doing a repetition.
I'd worry less about the repetition, more about the heart rate. Are you getting your heart rate elevated?
Yeah.
And bringing that up, and that might be the threshold you're looking for in terms of increasing intensity enough to elevate that heart rate. And that's what all the studies are saying now. You should be getting 30 minutes of elevated heart rate activity. Again, make it whatever you'd like, and again, getting that daily.
Strengthen the heart so it'll go a lot longer.
That's the most important muscle out there, right?
Yeah, you think about it. I mean, that thing it starts beating when you're born, well, before you're born, actually. While you're materializing.
Absolutely.
And then it's going to keep going all those years. Imagine how much work that muscle does.
It does quite a lot.
It's really a phenomenon how the human body is really a phenomenon.
It is incredible. It is the only machine that gets better with use. And again, that the same could be said about the heart. The more you exercise it and work it out, the better it's going to run. You know, I mean, certainly there are cases where that's not true if there are heart defects and things like that. But in general, you really want to make sure that heart is working optimally and you're taking good care of it. And again, that is working with an elevated heart rate at times and working out other times without an elevated heart rate, you know, depending on what your needs are.
Now, do you run any kind of weight loss programs?
If I did, I'd be a poor salesman for it. But no, not formally. You know, we do have, again, whether you're beginning a program and working with a trainer, or just, you know, getting in and starting to exercise on your own, and anything along those lines can work as a weight loss program. But we don't have a formal one in place.
No, but your trainer can help you with your diet.
Absolutely. The trainer, we have a little device that measures your body fat percentage as well, which is kind of what we like a little bit more than saying just a weight as a number. Because a lot of times when people start working out, they may find they will gain a little bit of weight.
Right.
You know, because muscle is heavier than fat. So that weight number sometimes you have to be careful with, and then that body fat percentage sometimes can be more telling.
Ah.
So we do have things like that available in the clinic that our trainer can run you through to find at least your baseline measurements, and then test those things again in a month or two and be able to say, yes, you're going the right way, or no, we need to really look at this program and modify it.
Well, I think there's been questions on what your ratio should be, I guess, because they had it changed. They've been changing it over the years.
They've been changing a number of things, whether it's diet recommendations and
Yeah.
shifting, you know, saying, oh, fats and lipids are the worst thing in the world, to now carbs are the worst thing in the world. And at the end of the day, you're going to want a mix of things.
Yeah, you're going to wonder,
You know.
well, who's right here? And I think you're right. You know, the Greeks always said, everything you want in moderation.
That's the key. You know, when you swing the dial too far one way or the other, you're
Yeah.
robbing Peter to pay Paul, and something's going to pay the price.
So, I mean, you can have a beer now and then. You can have that chocolate bar.
That's it.
But don't overdo it.
No, and don't have it daily, and try not to have 10 of them at the same time.
Right. Or you end up diabetic or whatever.
That's it. Yeah, there's another case where, again, getting into an exercise routine can help regulate that blood sugar. And some people, you have to be more careful and monitor it a little bit and ease into a program. You don't want to go diving into it, but really start to see if you can get off of some of those diabetic medications.
Do you work with people with diabetics?
Absolutely. We see diabetic people all the time in therapy. They will run into an assortment of kind of comorbidities, we call them, that come from the diabetes, whether it's neuropathy in the feet or neuropathy in the hands and things like that, you know, that will sometimes limit their ability to feel the ground when they walk, and now you're starting to fall because you don't have the balance you used to do. And, you know, in some cases, just doing some balance retraining will help them start to be able to keep their balance better. It may not undo those changes that happened at a cellular level from the diabetes, but, and, you know, can we improve people's safety that way?
But you can improve the myopathy?
The neuropathy?
In
some cases, yes. You know, I hate to make that a general statement. In some cases, it depends on the level of damage that's been done.
Gone.
But in some cases, you'll still have the neuropathy. But if we practice your balance and practice putting you in situations where you feel unsteady, can we improve your confidence and therefore allow you to be safer in your home?
Yeah, because that's becoming, I think, almost, what do you call it, epidemic.
It is. There are a number of things that, again, are really, you know, kind of either trapping people in their houses or making them not be able to live alone. You know, and those are the things that, you know, I kind of look at and go, you know, what can we do to help prevent that from happening? Nobody wants to have to leave their house as they age because they're suddenly unsafe and are having challenges. You know, what things can we do before things get bad enough to that point?
Now, you find that, what is it, there's a secretion in the body that when you exercise, I can't think the name of it now.
Secretion in the body.
In the brain. There's a...
the endorphins.
Endorphins.
Endorphins, yeah.
Yeah. You find that works, that when you exercise, you actually feel, and it gives you, it's almost like a high.
Absolutely. People, you know, and again, that's why those runners are up at 6 a.m., right? They get that endorphin push from really getting out there and being active. And maybe it's not running for you. Maybe it's just getting out walking. Maybe it's getting out for a nice walk at night. Maybe it's swimming, you know, finding that release. And there aren't too many people that after an exercise, you know, whether it be a session or a game or a sport, that don't feel better after they've done those things.
Yeah, you really, it's a natural high. I mean, it's a drug that your body produces for you.
Couldn't be more natural.
It couldn't be more natural. Yeah, it's not gonna affect you. It's not gonna have side effects.
Nope. No, or only good ones.
Yeah, only good ones. And so you find people go out, work out, and they just want to get in there and...
Yeah, and again, the key is to start off in moderation. You know, you don't want to go from 0 to 60 that fast. You got to ease your way up to it and gradually progress that workout intensity so you're not setting yourself up for injuries and then forced to come in.
How about you get the bodybuilders?
We've had a couple bodybuilders come through. Yep. They're a different animal.
Yeah.
You know, they changed the game a little bit because you know, they certainly have the strength to do things, but they will run into issues, whether it's overuse injuries from, you know, one joint not moving as well as other joints and things like that.
They
And
just want to get
strains them.
more and more weight.
They're not necessarily coming to us for the bodybuilding per se. They're coming to
Right.
us saying, "Hey, this is hurting. You know,
Ah.
I've been bodybuilding. What do I do?" And
Okay,
and
so
again,
you don't have any bodybuilding equipment.
well, I mean, weights are bodybuilding equipment. So
Right.
we certainly have weights to do
Oh,
it.
you do have
I wouldn't
weights.
say we have many bodybuilders that are working out there. But what will happen is if they run into a situation where, again, they're overusing a certain muscle group and it's getting irritated,
Uh-huh.
can we look at the way they move and really assess their overall movement pattern and be able to change that and improve it?
Oh,
So that's how we will help
Yeah.
them. Sometimes it is holding people back.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's taking people back down a notch and saying, "Hey, you're going a little too hard than your body can handle. Let's rein it in for a little bit and see if we can replace it with this that's a little less stressful on this elbow or that muscle and see if that helps."
oh. But I'm sure, and you get all the football players.
Yep, we will get football players in each year. We'll get
And baseball
soccer players
players.
each year. You got we get a bit from everything.
And of course, it's going to change. The baseball players are always, they're worried about their arm.
Yep.
The football players, they're worried about their legs.
Every sport has turned out to be year round now. It seems
Yeah.
like so. You know, the seasons don't change quite as much as they used to. In the high school years, they will. But
Well,
so many kids are playing
into
year round
multiple
sports.
sports now, too.
Hopefully, that's what we aim for. We aim to have kids doing multiple activities so they're not stuck in one sport season
Right.
after season. And that's where you really develop those overuse injuries, which at a time of growth is a tough time to have that. You know, and
Yes.
if you're training different groups of muscles doing different activities, it's going to minimize that chance of overuse and hopefully help you develop more athletic abilities in multiple places.
Now, do you do anything like yoga or?
We actually have a class right now run through MRA, which is a local triathlon group. Terry Powell is running it, and she's running it as kind of a hybrid yoga and strength training class.
Oh,
And it's Saturday mornings, Saturdays at 7 a.m., and then Wednesday nights at 7:15.
oh, so, and they actually go through the yoga thing.
Yep, she's got portions of yoga in there, and we're in discussions of trying to make, you know, whether it is a time to have a full yoga session in the gym and make use of that as well.
Oh, how about any other stretching and maneuvering things like that? The Chinese have one that they do.
We did Tai Chi. We had Tai Chi for a couple years when we first opened the
I don't know what
gym.
they call it, but now
Tai
do.
Chi, yep. We had a gentleman that came in, Ron, and I'm freezing up on his last name, but Ron came in and taught Tai Chi for a while, and we had a few people coming through and doing that. And it was good. It was a nice, again, a more low intensity exercise, working on some balance and things like that.
Very big in China. They go out early in the morning and you see a whole groups
Yep.
of people doing it.
Yep. No, it is fascinating, and it does work on a number of things just in a way that many of us aren't used to.
Yeah, and it's different. It's kind
That's
of
it.
almost like
Yep.
like a dance.
It is. It's a slow, controlled motion, and it you know really makes you focus by moving slowly. I always give people the example: if you're riding a bicycle, you can stay on two wheels in line with each other as long as you're moving. But if you really
Right.
have to slow down, it's really hard to balance that bicycle. The same can be said with Tai Chi, where those slow movements really are hard to keep. You really need to keep your core set and your feet set and stay balanced. And again,
Oh, okay.
not, which isn't the way most people move on a daily basis.
Right, so it's not just standing there moving around like a dance. This is
It's focused
Well,
movements. No, you're following
yeah.
the instructor and mimicking what they're doing and going through a series of motions.
oh
Yeah. No, it was interesting to learn more about it.
yeah. And how about stretch exercises? You do those or?
We don't have a straight stretching program, you know, of just flexibility in there. Again, if you know we find that's something you need, whether that falls under the physical therapy umbrella or we refer that over to our trainer, you know,
Because
we'd work
part of
that
physical
flexibility.
therapy could be stretching, right?
A lot of times stretching is involved. You know, in simplistic terms, typically when we evaluate somebody, we're either going to find one body part's moving too much or it's moving not enough. In the cases it's not moving enough, then we're going to work on getting some stretching and better motion. In the case that it's moving too much, then we're going to work on some stability to really control that motion and make sure things aren't moving too far in the wrong direction.
Right. And like you say, you're doing pretty well down there. Business is picked up a lot.
Yep, we're staying busy. We're keeping busy down there, but we're, you know, always trying to, you know, we're getting people better on a regular basis, so we got to make sure we have more
you gotta
people
keep,
coming
yeah,
in.
you gotta keep turning them
Keeping
in.
it, and we're very lucky. We have great patients that are always referring us to referring their friends to us and family, and it's worked out well.
Well, you know, a lot of people do get hurt, and they're finally waking up to the fact that therapy is maybe a better route to go than trying to go in and get that operation or. or popping the pills every morning.
You can't not have, you can't undo surgery. Once you go in and have the surgery, you can't say, oh, I wish well, you can say I wish I hadn't done that, but it doesn't take it away.
But it's too late.
Whereas you can come to therapy, and if we find therapy's not working, you can go do surgery afterwards.
Right.
And, you know, how many people is that? I wish I had a hard number to give you, but I'd say, you know, maybe it's 50% of people that think they're going to go for surgery. Sometimes we can dodge that by getting people moving better. And in the case you still need surgery, at least now you've learned some of the exercises you're going to learn post-surgically, and now you have an idea of how it should move and how it should feel. Because a lot of times coming out of surgery, you're going to be in more pain to start with.
Right. Do you find the insurance companies, though, sometimes don't allow enough time?
That is the unfortunate reality. That is one of the restrictions we run into, and it is frustrating both for the therapist and the patient in cases where the insurance company deems that it's not necessary, or your plan only covered X amount of visits and things like that, and it makes it a challenge to get people better.
They really need more, and now you got to try and teach them to do it on their own.
You got it, and it's a rush trying to say, here's the next 2 months of exercises, go do those. You know, and it's starting to change. We're finding more and more people are willing to say, you know what, my health is worth it.
Yeah. I'll pay it out of my own pocket.
You got it. I'll take care of it and go get it done. And you know, they recognize the value in getting their health and movement back.
Well, what's good having the money if you can't if you're not able to enjoy it?
No, if you're in constant pain, that's no way to live.
All money in the world is not worth anything if you don't have your health.
That's it.
That's number one. That's the most important thing.
That's it.
And doing the right exercises too can make you feel healthier, not just physically but mentally as well.
Absolutely. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, having, and I wish I should have brought studies, but one of the major ways of fighting depression is to get active and get moving, and your fibromyalgias and things like that. As we ease people into exercise programs, those symptoms start to dissipate a little bit, or maybe become a little less regular in some cases, and it helps improve people's quality of life and help people get their life back.
Yeah, I think unfortunately we saw a boom in the drug industry started in the 50s and progresses onward. So we got into a habit that, oh, I get sick, I'll pop a pill.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting away from it now somewhat.
It's quicker and easier. I think we've hit the end of that cycle. I think this opioid thing is kind of pushing people the other way, going, what are we doing? You know,
there's got to be a better way to do it.
We are, you know, we've created all these addictive problems and you know, drugged up people, and it's a shame because again, hopefully we're going to find that we've got better ways of dealing with it that we already have in place. You know, and I know I've heard Senator Fatman mention, you know, that there's a big push on Capitol Hill to really fight these things. And I'm hoping we're going to be included, physical therapists will be included in that message of, you know, before we start giving high doses of opioids, maybe we can actually get people to come in and be evaluated and see if we can help.
And I think that should be a major coverage. That should be required coverage in in medical insurance.
Again, most plans do cover it. Again, to what extent is the challenge?
Well, it should be a bigger, and they're going to save in the end.
That's
the insurance company's going to wake up.
As I mentioned earlier, we're really working on finding a study that can prove how much downstream costs we save. Again, if we can get you better in 8 or 10 or 20, even 20 visits of physical therapy, is going to be cheaper than imaging and seeing a specialist in most cases.
Yeah,
it's going to be much cheaper than surgery.
Prescription drugs.
You got it, and all of the side effects that go along with that.
Yeah, I know. You know. Every time I go to, every time in winter, getting near winter, you got to get a flu shot. I haven't had one for years, and they say, "Well, when's the last time you got the flu?" I said, "The last time I got a flu shot."
Well, there you go. You've got good genes, and you're hopefully keeping yourself nice and disinfected.
I try to keep my immune system healthy. Mm-hmm. If I feel a cold coming on, I get the airborne, the zinc, the coldies. Yeah, I get through it.
Excellent. Well, that's good.
I don't want to say it too loud because I might actually end up with the flu next week. But really, I mean, everybody I know that gets the flu shot ends up with the flu. Yeah,
there are a number of people that will have some symptoms we will see in clinic that, you know, whether it's a sore arm afterwards or, you know, that fever. Yeah. But the studies are still saying that it does help. You know, I was hearing on the radio
today. Yeah, but the drug companies are the ones with the studies.
You know, there are questions on everything, right? Who feeds what information where?
Right. But I think you keep yourself healthy by exercising, being active, eating right, helping your immune system. I increase my vitamin D intake in the winter
Okay.
because vitamin D aids the immune system.
Absolutely.
In the summer, you don't need as much. I got a convertible. I get plenty of vitamin D.
Well, there you go. That's a good way of getting it.
Yeah, that's the natural way.
That's it.
But we don't have the sun in the winter, so you have to use the supplement. But things like that, and the vitamins, and vitamin C, anything that enhance your immune system, and you can get a lot of good stuff by proper eating too. That's a big
That's
factor.
it. Maintaining your nutrition, maintaining your activity levels, maintaining your vitamin intake, and making sure again you're really kind of taking care of the whole body.
Yeah.
Is the big thing we try
You
to
know,
help people
green
focus
leafy
on.
vegetables are great for you.
Yep.
I think spinach is one of the best.
Yeah, Popeye wasn't wrong.
No, and that's all we got to do, and we could stay healthy and live a lot longer.
Well, and again, that's the product of what you're seeing. You know, as you mentioned that the 70 is the new 50
Yeah.
and things like that. That's what's contributing to people being able to live longer.
But you find that you got some people, their illness can be brought on, and I think this is a big factor, is stress.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And stress is not something that you catch. Stress is something you create.
There are a number of factors that will play a part in it, and again, many people will find exercise can be a stress reliever for some of those cases, because
Yeah.
sometimes the stress is internal and sometimes the stress is external. You know, it will really vary, but again, coming back to that high after exercise and working out and the endorphins, that can be a good way to
Well,
battle
stress
that.
is all mental. I mean, if you got a problem, if you let it stress you out, until it get worse, even if you try and solve it, but you got to just be able to handle it and say, well, I'll do what I can, do what I can, and that's all I can do. And
Everybody has their own way of trying to deal with it and solve it.
we got to do because,
Yep.
God, I see people so stressed out sometimes.
Well, it's the key to finding a way to deal with it. Again, some people
Yeah.
can just flip the switch and turn it off. Some people need a distraction of
And-
something else, and whether it's getting into mindfulness practice and doing a yoga class or something along those lines, we
Yeah.
all have different ways of being able to manage that stress that we feel.
Well, and it's worse, the higher price, the better paying job you got, the more stress you got, too.
In some cases, yeah.
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 But, do you find people come in that are stressed out, that just need you to...
Many times, and I will find people that find their stress either sits in their neck or sits in their back when that stress level
Yeah.
increases, be it the holidays, whether it's tax time and you're an accountant, that head's down in the computer the whole time
Yeah.
from February to April. And again, the holidays, I find everybody stressed, whether it's trying to get in for physical therapy and trying to find time to visit with the shopping and the planning and the in-laws coming over and all those things. Everybody has different things that are increasing that stress level, and a lot of people will hold that stress in the muscles of their neck, and they'll be really tight.
There's talk now about, you got those desks that rise up,
Yep, the standing desks.
the standing desks, because it's not good to be sitting all day.
Yep, I've seen a few articles calling sitting the new smoking, where it's that
Yeah.
unhealthy.
Yeah.
Where again, you're sedentary, you're not moving. We are designed to move.
Yeah, and a lot of people, if you're working at computers, and there's a lot of people that's what they do all day. They sit behind the computer doing analysis or whatever.
Yep.
And
Yeah, and having the ability to elevate that desk and still stay focused on your task at hand, but being able to stand up allows you to stretch out some muscles that stay tight when you stay in one position for too long.
And you don't stand all day. You can lower it back down, sit down for a while, and
Absolutely. That's what you want to do, is be able to mix it up and
Yeah.
change that. Because even standing all day isn't the best thing for you either.
Right.
So if you're stuck standing in a machine all day, again, you want to be moving and shifting your weight from foot to foot. And, at lunch break or at coffee break, take some time and do a little stretching to give those muscles a little bit of relief.
And how about shoes? Important factor?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're on your feet all day, you got to make sure you're having, especially on concrete, you want a shoe that's giving you, one, good support, and two, good cushioning. So you're really not pounding away and creating that irritation that will go into the knees, into the hips, into the back, and even up into the neck
Yeah.
sometimes. If again, there's a deficit someplace in the cartilage or the cushioning that should be going on in the body.
Yeah, because it's connected all the way up.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, so, yeah, we're almost done here.
Oh, look at that.
See how fast that goes?
It did go quick.
Yeah. So if people want to see you down at
Uh-oh.
down at Linwood Mill. There's too many mills in town. Down at Linwood Mill, driving back.
Yep.
Go right in the door. You'll be over there on the left-hand side.
Absolutely.
Someone's there between 6 a.m. and 7 o'clock at night.
Usually at 8 o'clock, we're usually closing up at night. Our last patients are finishing up from their 7:15 visit. And you can also look us up online at www.bvpts.com.
Yeah, and if you go to the doctor and they telling you need physical therapy, you don't have to go to the medical center or to, where everybody thinks they have to go to the hospital.
You should have your choice.
You
should have your choice of where to go, whether it's, again, with us or somebody you're familiar with, that's fine, but it shouldn't be forced upon you. There are more and more restrictive insurance plans out there that are trying to keep people, or I shouldn't say insurance plans, of groups, and I don't think it's hit our area as badly yet, but closer to Boston, there are these networks that won't let people out of them to see the practitioners they want to see. And it's kind of a shame when that happens. We're, again, as the Physical Therapy Group of Massachusetts, really trying to fight that and make sure people have the right to see the practitioner they want to see and not be forced in because they grabbed an insurance plan they didn't know would restrict them.
Well, this is the complaint that people have when Obamacare came in and they found out that you couldn't keep your doctor. People want insurance plans where they can go to the doctor they want to go to. That's what people really want. There are people get enrolled in the Fallon plan and things like that, and then you got to go to their doctors. Imagine you have to go to their physical therapist as well.
They will try to steer you there, and again, in most cases, there are laws that preclude them from being able to say you have to go here.
Well, if someone has one of those plans, they should check with you, and you can probably tell them.
We can look into it, and we can check the plan out and see what can happen. Sometimes the primary care physician will have to sign off on them leaving the plan and being able to have access to the therapist they want to. We've fought it in a couple of situations on behalf of patients to try to say, hey, Mrs. Smith wants to come see us. Let's let Mrs. Smith go where she wants to go. We already have a rapport with her. There's no sense in her not being able to go where she wants to go because of paperwork.
Yeah, so people out there, if you do have that situation, come down and see Eric.
Yeah, come down and talk to the office, and bring information,
and they may be able to help you out. They're not guaranteeing it, but there's a possibility.
Correct. We'll do everything in our power to be able to get people in to see us that want to see us.
Yeah, and it could be a lot of things. You might find that his therapist you're going to like better, and maybe it's even more convenient.
I haven't found many clinics that have more hours available than we do.
Yeah, and you're right here in town. How many there are in town?
There's us, and then there's the one affiliated with the hospital as well.
That's it.
That's it in town.
Yeah. See, so I mean, if you close to Linwood Ave, we might drive over the other end.
It can't be too far away from Linwood Ave in whatever part of the town you live in, right? It's about 10 minutes either way, any way you cut it.
It's easy to get there from Whitensville or from Rockdale. I mean, it's not a difficult place to get to.
No.
Plenty of parking.
Yep.
Nice building, and when you get done, you got a nice restaurant you can go to.
That's it. You can go see Don at the Maison.
Yeah.
If Purgatory's open, you might be able to grab a craft beer.
Weekends, you can go to Purgatory.
Yep.
If you need to take it home, you can go up to the Millhouse.
There you go. You've got Millhouse right there as well.
Yeah, Millhouse Liquor. So, and it's a nice place beautiful place, a beautiful building.
No, Bill did a great job refurbishing it, and we were able to really put some time and effort into it and really design a facility that I find allows us to really give the patient the experience that we want to give them, that really is focused on them and getting them better in a comfortable environment where they can really thrive and develop.
I'm going to tell you, get down there in the warm weather, it's a nice place to walk around. Beautiful waterfall.
Yep.
The river's right there. Oh, beautiful area.
It is, and a couple times leaving later at night, I've even found deer sitting out in the river out there.
There you go, yeah.
So you might see some wildlife as well.
Well, Eric, thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me here. This has been great.
And if you need physical therapy, Blackstone Valley.
Can I give the phone number?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. 508-234-7544 is our phone number. And if you give us a call, we'll do our best to get you in as quick as we can and try to help you get back to getting your life back the way you want it.
Yes. Okay. Thank
Excellent.
you, Eric.
Very good. Thank you.
We will see you next week on About the Valley, and I'm trying to remember my guests next week, I believe, are from the Blackstone Valley Historic District.
Excellent.
Okay.